I have.
All right, so let's see what we get here. I think that's Kitty. We're gonna promote her to a panelist.
Okay. Promotions for Kitty.
So I think we're gonna have our five here.
Yes, we do.
There
Hello.
she is. All right, we got our four.
Hi, Kitty. We gotcha.
All right. Hello, welcome, Kitty.
Hello.
Happy New Year to all.
Happy New
Um,
Year.
Pat, you want to get us going, or
Certainly. I would say, do we have a motion to call the meeting to order?
Oh, shoot, sorry.
Hi.
Second, somebody second?
Second.
Very good. And Brian, I'm going to ask you, you seem to have an agenda that I can't see the agenda. So,
sure. So first thing we're gonna do is we're going to see whether there's any public participation.
yes.
For the record, I did not receive any emails in advance of this meeting. We have no attendees at this time besides myself and the four Board of Ethics members. And that for a roll call, if you could all just say your names for the roll call vote, or the roll call.
Michelle Sawyer here. Patricia Gudo.
Kitty Sang.
Amy Ayala?
Okay, so now that we've done that, we've done roll call, public participation. The first thing that we have to do, the only thing that we have to do formally is approve the minutes from the December 2nd, 2025 special meeting of the Board of Ethics. And I'm going to pull that up on the screen for everybody in a moment.
Thank you.
And let's see. So Amy, Michelle, Kitty, and Pat. Pat, you were at the meeting as
I
well.
was, I
Uh,
was, I was
sort
willing
of.
to help.
So what I'm going to have you guys do is it's a very short minutes. Just take a look at it, see if there's any. Um, there's one change I need to make. Miklos Kolazar's name is misspelled. I'm just removing the K from it.
Okay.
Um, and just see if there's anything that you guys need to change in here.
Ladies, I have to rely on you. I was stuck outside. Yep, no, getting rid of it.
Catherine's name is also misspelled. I have to change that as well.
Yeah.
I'm changing that right now, which everyone can see.
Yep.
Um,
All of it looks, no new discussion.
and
Executive
again, a change of
session.
Mr. Kolazar's name on the second page, just removing the K at the end.
Okay.
Does anyone have any other changes besides what I've changed? I've changed again the spelling of Mr. Kolazar twice and the correct spelling of Catherine Williams Merchant's name.
Nope, everything else looks accurate.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
All right, can we have a roll call vote on the four members, including Michelle, who just voted to move to approve it?
Aye.
Hi.
Hi.
Great,
Aye.
so approved. Okay. Let's see. Let me just save it real quick so we don't lose it. Okay. Next item on the agenda is old business, discuss Code of Ethics, City Code, Chapter 32, and it has a link to the City Code. So typically, the reason why we did this in the past was to allow members of the public to come to our meeting and speak about any aspect of the city code that they wanted. And there again was no emails prior to this meeting that were sent to me, and there are no attendees from the public. So in that regard, unless one of you would like to speak about Chapter 32, then we will move on to something else. Hold on one second. Good boy. Does anyone have anything to say about Chapter 32 of the City Code Code of Ethics before
Nope.
we move on?
Kitty, your hands up. Do you have anything?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Okay.
Well, a good meal and a chess game, that's not bad.
I'm good.
Sorry, some technical difficulties here. Next thing, old business. Discuss the Citizens Guide to the Code of Ethics. And again, it has a web link to the actual Citizens Guide. Again, the theory behind this was to allow the public to come in and ask questions or make comments about the Citizens Guide, as it is the tool that they use in order to navigate the ethics section of the city code. Again, no emails were sent prior to this meeting, and we still do not have any attendees from the public here. So unless any member of the board would like to speak about something in the Citizens Guide, I think we can move on.
Move on. Move
We can move
on.
on.
No comment.
Okay. New business. We have something for new business. Discussion of ongoing and future projects for 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pat, I will yield the floor to you and the board. Please go ahead.
Okay, that was my agenda item. I thought it would probably be the main thing we might discuss tonight. We've been talking about, the training for all elected officials. We've got things posted up, but we've had to wait for a transition of complete leadership, really, within this city, not just the mayor. Many of the offices of the major departments have changed. So that takes a little bit, but I don't know if we, what each of your priorities might be that we want to accomplish. For me, I'd really like to see us be doing one or two live sessions like we talked about at the end of last year on ethics training, that those slides and things that we've recorded that are up on the website, but to actually give people a chance, particularly in the city, to
Pat,
see
sorry,
us.
sorry to interrupt. Catherine Williams just appeared
Hi,
in the meeting. So let's say 7:05 p.m. Catherine, welcome. Happy New Year. Go ahead, Pat. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so we're talking about what you're on mute, Catherine, in case you wanted to say anything.
I want to say sorry. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry I'm late.
No problem. So that I would still want to see accomplished. I feel it will be a bit delayed because of these people who are all relative. They're not brand new to Norwalk politics, but they are almost creating a new organization and have to learn how to work together and what the priorities are now of all the different department leaders and come up with their own planning and agendas themselves, just as any regular corporation does or any institution does. And so that might get a bit delayed, but I'd still like to push that a bit, along so that we actually offer a couple of public sessions and sessions for staff members of the city and elected officials for sure, so that we're doing a due diligence to be sure people know very well it's there. The code of ethics is there. We expect, our people to be living up to those standards, hopefully, right? And not just a free for all, which we haven't really had, but we did have a couple of cases last year. But I don't think that was considered a busy year, but it does take a lot of time to do the whole investigation parts. Any other ideas? What else would we like to do? Or, we mindful of our time as well, since everybody's a volunteer.
I would just say, I don't think, unless I'm wrong, somebody
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the HR person is new. I don't believe they I think I
Correct.
believe the mayor kept the same HR person. So I think
Correct.
it might not be as because I feel like that's the place we should start with something like this is the
Agree. I
conversation
like
with
that
with
idea.
the head of
They-
HR and
Michelle, they
talk.
are new.
They are new. I
Sharon-
thought they
Sharon-
kept it.
Well,
Sharon
not
is
the
new.
HR head. She
Yeah,
was
she-
promoted to chief HR, I thought. This isn't the one that was just hired?
Oh no, she was just hired. She's only been here a couple months.
Okay,
Right,
but still,
before the new.
she didn't just come in with this administration was my
Correct. No,
point.
no. She's been here
Yeah.
before. Yes.
So she's at least she's actually one of the old guard at this point. So I'm just saying she's a little more up to speed than, those of them that just started a few weeks ago. So,
Right.
and I think that's probably where this conversation needs to start because we need to understand how they're using this guide, if at all,
If at
how
all,
she
right, right.
plans to use
Mhm.
it as, as someone who has just started. And if she doesn't have any plans, like how we can help inform, what might be the best way for her to use that. So I would suggest our first order of business is to try to get some time on her calendar and
Great.
some of us have a conversation with her about
Mhm.
sort of the parameters and what we've done and how even some of the learnings that we have had, those
Sure.
of us who have been on the investigative panels, some of the learnings that we had from those things
Right.
about,
Mhm.
yeah. So
All, yeah,
yeah.
the positives, the
If
neutrals, the
So,
negatives.
Michelle, if you or one of the other board members would like to put together an email, I can, once you're done with it, we can put it together and send an email to the HR people,
Mhm.
copying all of you on it so that there can be a conversation about a meeting or a dialogue about all of those things that you mentioned. And that should help move things along quicker. I do agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's and we must, even though she is not brandy new to the city, and even though people might have known, our new mayor, she is in a new role as mayor. So there will be changes of priorities or emphasis if it isn't major priorities.
Yeah.
So that's the
I just
thing.
don't want us to start making this whole plan and then
Oh
have
gosh, no.
HR or the city say to us, hey, this
No.
doesn't really fit into where we're trying to
Exactly.
go.
We can't
So,
start there. That would
right. So
not be
yeah,
wise.
that's fine.
I'm just saying, I still would like us to proceed in the right way. And I think you hit it right on the nose that that's the right, a good place to start. I mean, the mayor herself may want to, or her chief of staff may also have priorities for that are important to discuss.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I don't
So
think so.
just circling back to what Michelle said, I think um, I agree the best way to kickstart this is to get an email out. So you guys can compose an email, provide it to me, and then I will send it on your behalf and copying all of you on it to the HR director, the chief of HR and personnel. And hopefully we can get a dialogue and a meeting with at least a few of you, maybe not all of you, but at least a few of you. And then everyone can circle back and, as long as you're not in a quorum of a group of four or more, you can communicate with each other. Otherwise, we have to call a meeting, or we can just have a summary of that meeting of what was discussed at our next meeting, so that those who weren't there would get a better idea of what was discussed and what the plan is moving forward, and what's to be expected, and what they're hoping that the board can do with the city in order to further these objectives.
Absolutely. I would like to be in attendance, but if I don't get frozen in, I will need to be doing that via Zoom. So
That would be
that's not
fine. We can have a hybrid meeting. If
okay.
people are not available geographically speaking, like Pat, that's fine. We can Zoom people in that want to attend, or you can't get out of work and you can only do the meeting from work. We'll
Hmm,
do it via Zoom. If there's somebody that wants to be in person with the HR chief and they're available to do it in person, and my
right.
understanding is she's in 5 days a week, so it should be easy to get her. I'm not saying her schedule's easy, but at least she'll
Yeah,
be in the building.
right, right.
In that regard, we might have a hybrid meeting where we set up something where we have Zoom members and also in-person members speaking with her, or maybe it's completely via Zoom or completely in person. It really depends on her availability and your availability. But I think the best way to start this is with an email saying, this is what we hope to accomplish. This is what we want to do. What are your thoughts? We'd like to have a meeting to discuss it further.
Sure.
Okay.
who would like to do Michelle, would you like to do it as well?
I'm happy to start it and circulate it, and people
Yeah.
can weigh in and, make changes, and we can all agree on a final document.
Yep. One of the other things perhaps we should take a look at too, and again, this is something that we can do. It doesn't have to be an immediate thing, but it's similar to what we did a couple years ago when the entire code was revamped. We might want to take a look at potentially expanding the board. I know we had difficulty filling these positions, but I think we've all seen some of the difficulties that have transpired this past year as it pertains to the board and the numbers that we have and potential conflicts and things of that nature. And it seems like a big enough group, 7, until it's not.
Correct.
So
It's not big enough for those purposes,
What
right?
are
Right,
the
and-
parameters for doing so? Like, how would do we have to petition to make the board bigger? Like, what's the ruling there?
So
Yeah.
what we could do is this would be, so right now, let me just pull it up while we're talking.
Sure.
So just bear with me 1 second because I can try to pull it up on my screen and show you what
Sorry,
it
I
is
didn't
we're
mean to
talking about.
throw
No,
questions at you.
No, it's fine.
We don't
It's
have to
fine.
know right now, but that would be good to know.
Yeah, no, this is it's helpful because let's
We
just
can't
figure
just
out
do what any old thing, right?
how many
Because
members
there's
do we have? We have
minority,
7.
we have to have all these, if we add to it, you have to be mindful of the political affiliation parties.
Yes.
I'm sure there are actual guidelines in the
Yeah, there have
Okay.
to be I mean,
board,
it all
yeah.
has to go through common council in the end.
Yes, so I'm going to show you right now. So again, this is
city
going to be
council,
similar.
sorry.
You are going to be following a path that the old board that I dealt with, the first board that I dealt with. If
Okay,
this is something that you're interested in right now, under Title and Administration 32.1, you can see that the board is comprised as an independent committee comprised of 5 members and 2 alternates known as the Board of Ethics, and they shall be appointed by the Common Council. So unless there's some state statute that says you can't have more than 5, which I will look at, and I don't
Okay.
believe the answer is yes, I believe you can have more than 7, more than 5 regular members and more than 2 alternates. My recommendation would be that we try to look into adding at least two new members.
So have it 7 total and 7.
Yeah, 7 and
yeah.
2, which would be a total of
Right.
9. And
Yeah.
quite honestly, I know there are alternates here, but as far as I've said to people numerous times, we have a difficult time getting a full board to come to a meeting. And you can see from what we transpired last year that we need all hands on deck, whether you're an alternate or not. So I don't consider, I know in theory there are alternates, but I've said this to each of you individually numerous times, or at least some of you. As far as I'm concerned, we have 7 full members. We don't have 2 alternates. We have 7 full members.
Yeah.
Everyone here carries their own weight. And so my hope would be to try and convince ordinance committee that we would, so we would make the changes here. The process is we would make a change if we can. If we're
Right.
allowed by law, we can make a change in 32.1 to say we want 7 actual members, and 2 alternates, not 5 and 2. Then we would take that proposed change to ordinance committee, who could then approve it and have a public hearing and then send it to common council, and then common council approves it. And then that gets sent to city code. And that would effectively change us from a 7-person to a 9-person board.
Okay.
I think 9 makes sense. The ideal would be 3 of each, 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, 3 independents, because of the constraints that we have as it pertains to certain duties that this board does have. And we also have to we have to make sure that we abide by minority representation, regardless of that. We're in compliance with that, just for the record. But when we move to 9, we have to be in compliance with minority representation, number 1. And number 2, the idea would be to try and even the board out to have as many Republicans, Democrats, and independents on here, because when we go to investigating panels and we go to hearing boards, we need independents, Republicans, and Democrats. We can't have too much of a majority of one party, because then we have difficulty filling our seats, especially if there are conflicts. So that was the purpose for me mentioning this. It's something to consider. It is not an emergency. It's not something that has to be done immediately. I don't want that to put your other agenda ideas on the back burner, but it's something perhaps that we can talk about and see if this is something of interest. I don't think it's going to be a complicated change. I think it's just essentially changing numbers. But we could also have a conversation with Jalen Seed, who's the ordinance chair, to see whether it's something that his ordinance committee and city council would be interested in before we go about the process. So something I just wanted to put forward to you, because I was thinking about these procedural issues that we had last year. I'm sure some of you were, but you all have full-time jobs and you have other things to do. And so I just wanted to, and you also have the other things that we were talking about. I wanted to mention this as something for you guys to think about and consider.
It definitely was very hard this last investigation that we had to do to we had to good thing we had Mickey being able to bring him back. That was at least helpful because you have to have right now the ordinance says you have to have persons of each party.
Correct.
So, and we're low on that. So I think this is kind of a maintenance item. It might sound like a maintenance item, but I think it's quite necessary for our city to be thinking about supporting the fact of making us a 9-person board.
And one of the other things I mentioned as well is that I know, everyone carries their own weight, but with two extra hands, many hands make light work. So if we had 9 people, if there were a plethora of complaints or advisory opinions or seminars that needed to be completed by this board, the work could be divided up amongst all of you so that nobody feels like, they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. Volunteering, I don't want anyone to get burnt out. We had a difficult time getting this group in, and this group is great because you show up to the meetings and you're active. I don't want to lose people because they feel like it's just too much. So to add 2 people would also make it easier on hopefully some of you, that would encourage you to stay on further than perhaps what you thought in the past.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Now, to me, those 2 items are going to take us time to maneuver through, but I don't want to lose any other thoughts that anybody else has for what we should be thinking about on our long-term plan of activities or projects or what have you.
Yeah. So I'm just writing
Maybe we
myself a
start
note
with
here. Follow up, Ray adding members to board 7 to 9, 32-1. Ask Jalen, ordinance chair.
That's a good place to start.
And then we have follow up with HR, Ray meeting about, and Michelle, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What the meeting? What do you guys want to discuss at the meeting again?
We want to discuss what we would like to, you're on
Think
mute.
that-
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I think that we just want to just make sure she's aware of the code of ethics. We want to understand what, if anything, HR is doing with that in onboarding process. From
Yeah.
what we've
Yes.
understood, I'm not sure that there is. We'd like to make sure she understands how we feel about the importance of making sure that's done and seeing how we can collaborate together to make sure that becomes part of the process.
And do you guys want to discuss that seminar? I mean, obviously, we've
I
Yeah,
would-
and
I
then,
would like to add that.
obviously
Yeah,
a
how
seminar.
would we roll that out and making a couple suggestions that we.
Yeah.
Because if they do something, if they do anything like that, maybe we don't even have to do our own seminar. But if there's
Correct,
anything,
correct,
if there's anything that HR does that is
Yeah.
something we can, can you give us 10 minutes or can you give us, 15 minutes on any sort of,
Right.
group thing where one of us can show up and say, hey,
Mhm.
we just want to make sure there's a code of ethics and what that entails and all of those things. Not
We
only
can-
that
yeah, go
that
ahead,
they
I'm sorry.
know that it exists and that they should be following it, but that people understand that it's a tool that they can use as well. Like if they feel like something is not like people, I don't know that people know that they can use that they can have I mean,
A
I'm sure
voice,
some people
right.
do, but that they can come to us and say, hey, would this be okay? And that, we can
Yes.
give a summary,
Right.
opinion and all of those things. So.
Right. And just, when you're saying that it's important for people to know that and how it's a valuable asset, I'll just jump on what Michelle said. It's the advisory opinion. If someone asks for an advisory opinion by this board and the board says they look at the facts and they come to the conclusion that the person can do what they're asking to be done, or they can do whatever it is that they want to do, and the board blesses it, so to speak, and then somebody files an ethics complaint about that issue, they have basically in Monopoly the get out of jail free card. It's you have immunity because you went to the board and you asked in advance and they said, yeah, it's fine. So there is an advantage to doing
Mhm.
something like that's a tool that people might not realize that's there.
Correct.
That's,
Right.
a good example. Catherine?
Correct.
Yes, when a new employee comes on, do they sign the code of ethics?
We
Do they
don't
have-
believe so, but that's part of the questions
Yeah,
that we
that's
want
part of
to add.
finding out.
And
Remember,
we-
we were evolving. That was the word of the last.
Yeah,
And
we
what
don't.
I'd like to add to your email,
Yeah.
whenever you guys are done, I'm not going to change the wording of your email.
Yep.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to add a couple links at the bottom, and those links would be to the Board of Ethics website, which has all of our PowerPoint presentations in
Yeah,
both
it does.
the PowerPoint presentation and the video accompanying it, as well as links to the city code and the citizens guide, so that she has easy access to those documents so that if, for example, it's not in onboarding, she could just cut and paste those web links and place them into the onboarding stuff, onto the papers, and say, you need to look at these, you need to look at these documents, you need to review these things, and you need to sign off saying you did review these things. If they're not, I don't know if they are or not. Again, it's been
Correct.
almost 9.5 years since I was here, and I believe I did sign something about code of ethics, but I can't remember.
Yeah, and maybe some level of roles does, but it probably would behoove them at this stage that everybody did. That would be a nice goal in the end.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I mean, we have seminars all the time. We have cybersecurity seminars.
Mhm.
So there are people in this building who might need credits, whether they be legal credits or whatever credits they might need, and perhaps there's something to do with ethics. And if they sat through a seminar for 1 hour, then they would be probably given credit for that 1 hour. Or if they reviewed documents saying, "Oh, I sat through an hour-long seminar, and then I reviewed the PowerPoint, and I reviewed the videos, and I reviewed the citizens guide, and I reviewed the code, and it took me 3 hours," then they could try to make the argument to their professional organization, "I want 3 hours of ethics credit." So there is some benefit to it, besides the fact that people should know that this exists and you have to abide by it. There's
Mhm.
also some personal benefit to some people, such as myself, who needs I need ethics credit every year for state of Connecticut. So
Yes.
there are other benefits besides the obvious one, which is, everyone, not everyone, but some of the people who work for the city of Norwalk are residents and electors of the city of Norwalk. And so
Mhm.
they should clearly have an interest in this, one. And the people who work for the city that are not residents or electors should still have an interest, because your job is to do your job right on behalf of the people that you serve, which are the citizens of Norwalk. So people should know what's going on. This is an easy one. We're not telling you to memorize it. We're telling you to know about it and to think about it. And so
Mhm.
would a seminar help? I think it would, but like you said, we have to work with the groups that we have.
With what we have and the times availabilities that they have too.
Correct.
Absolutely. And I personally think if we did those two things and then go from there, instead of a list of 10 items on our wish list, which we may not get to, I think it's a good start to start with these two. They're
But I
kind
think
of the
these two
core.
things will inform the rest of our wish list.
Exactly. Like,
so.
where do we go from here, kind of deal. And then inform them that, hi, we're
Yep.
here, and there's also benefits of different ways to use an ethics board and the subject of ethics. So,
Yeah, I think you could see, I mean, at least, so I can send an email out to Jalen if I want you guys to consider it first, the additional members. I want to hear back from everyone. I just mentioned it tonight. Think about it, and then you can maybe get back to me individually. And if enough of you say that you're interested, then that's something that we could work on. I can
Yes.
give you a draft. Quite honestly, it's going to be very simple. It's going to be switching a number, quite honestly, to 7 actual members and two alternates. And the
Yeah.
alternates are in name only. As far as I'm concerned, everyone's a regular member here. But if you do that, we might get a quick response from Jalen. I think it's a simple fix. I'm thinking if you're interested and Jalen's interested and the city council's interested, this is something that could be clearly done before the halfway point of the year.
Correct.
And that would be able to
Yeah,
check one of your
easy.
boxes off
Yes.
and potentially make everyone's work a little bit easier on this board.
Absolutely.
We're all for that.
Yeah.
And and maybe this will be a quiet year, but one never knows what happens.
Don't say that. You're gonna, you know.
Oh,
Just
I
jinxed
know.
us,
All
Beth.
right, I'm good. I said it already, though.
And just for about the seminar, I know I might have mentioned it to one or two of you. I'll say it to everybody. If a seminar is going to go forward and that's something that everyone is interested in, my recommendation would be that one of the seminars gets recorded. Maybe all of them, but at least one of them get recorded so people who can't attend these meetings can do so. My recommendation would be that we have one during the day so that members of the city staff can come, because you don't want to ask them to come after hours, especially when so many of them have meetings and things of that nature. And then try to set it up an evening meeting on a day perhaps where it's a little bit lighter in terms of the overall agendas for the city. So we have access to the city council chamber and residents can come. And try to minimize it to one of each and maybe record only one of them so that people can go back and take a look at it. But that would be the idea, to try and give as many people the opportunity to come to this thing as possible, or view it on their own time.
Mhm.
That'd be the understanding if we are going to go that way. And we're going to continue to put the Citizens Guide to the code and the code on every single agenda, so that if members of the public do show up and they want to speak about it, we can talk about it so that it is on the agenda. And it's not you're taking something that isn't on the agenda and trying to speak about it. So we're not trying to just full transparency here. No games being played. That's why we're putting these items on, so people can talk about anything they want within reason about these items. And that's the reason why we'll continue to put those on like we've been doing for the last couple months.
I think it's.
But
an
again,
easy
that's
thing
to
do.
the
Yeah.
point of making sure that people know those are on the
They know
agenda,
that
and
they're
that's why
there.
they're on the agenda, so that they
Correct.
can come and talk about them. So,
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, and then so I mean that's all I have. I don't know if anyone else has anything.
nope.
I do not. Anyone else?
No.
So last item, hold on, let me get rid of the stuff I have here. Last item is, well, there's no executive session, no ethics complaints were received prior to this meeting. So the next item would be adjournment of the meeting, unless anyone else does anything else. Does anyone want to move to adjourn the meeting?
I will move to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, now can I get a full vote of the 5 members of the board that are here?
Aye.
I-
Aye.
All right, great. It's unanimous. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes.
Welcome to 2026 Board of Ethics for the next 11 months. We're down one now. And I hopefully we'll see you all. Let's see what the date is before we all leave.
22nd or something of February? Or
February 26th.
6th? Okay.
Okay.
We're the 4th Thursday of every month. So
Right.
we'll get out we'll get out the email as soon as we can to make sure we have a thing, but hopefully we'll get responses back on the issues we talked about in advance so we can provide an update at our next board meeting and figure out, if we haven't already, what our next steps are based on those responses.
All right.
All right.
Aye.
All right.
Very
Stay
good.
warm, everybody.
Bye. Stay warm,
Good
everybody.
night.
Stay
Good
warm.
luck.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.